Yo, what is up, everybody? MrBeast has finally responded to all the allegations that has been thrown his way. He did an interview recently, and he addressed everything. So we're finna check it out and see what he says, and if he dodges any questions or if he addresses it head on, which I think is best to just address it head on. But it's been a while since we did this type of videos, but we're back to it again. We're gonna be uploading every single day. The grind don't stop, y'all. So let's hear it.
Okay.
I swear. This means it's legit. Why were you so silent? Especially off the bat, like you did respond to the Ava Tyson stuff immediately, but like, you know, right after that, a bunch of other stuff came out, and Dawson's video, his first video, gained a bunch of traction. What was your reasoning for being so silent?
The Ava stuff came out and I put out that tweet. We hired the investigators to go look into it. And part of that investigation is they recommended that I not talk about drama or really do anything online because it might influence. Yeah, if I could go back in time, I would do what we're doing here, because I assume this is like the correct format. It's gonna be a little bit more free-flowing and natural.
Okay, so basically he was legally advised not to make sure that the investigation by the law firm was conducted properly. Obviously that made it snowball like crazy, and he regrets that decision. I guess any future controversies will hopefully be addressed immediately, but then he goes over a few of the allegations, like him hiring a registered offender named Delaware.
People allege that you hired a registered offender named Delaware. There's a big whole conspiracy with it. Why did you hire Delaware, and were you aware that he was before you hired him?
Yes, I did hire him, but for the context around it, I hired him when I was 19, so I was a teenager, and this is kind of leans a little bit into what we were talking before. This is back when it was just a couple of my friends from high school, my mom. My videos were getting bigger. I needed more help, and so I walked in because I'm dumb. Like, I probably should have gone on some site and hired people who had production experience, but instead I walked into my local Best Buy and I just hired multiple people. Obviously, when I was a teenager, I didn't know what a background check was. And I just hired a couple people there that wanted to help me make videos. One of them was the person named Delaware. And no, I did not know he was a registered offender. There's a rumor that's gone around that said that he sat me and my mom down and told us. Obviously, I don't remember that happening, but yeah, it's just an unfortunate thing that happened. I take accountability. Yes, if I could go back in time, I would tell teenage me, hey, you're supposed to do background checks.
Okay, so essentially you're saying that he was...
Yeah, but like also like he was young, understandable, you know, and you don't just off the bat just think like, hey, this guy's a sex offender. You know, that's not a thought that goes through your brain when you first meet a person, you know? So he said he was a teenager. He sat down with his mom, allegedly, and he supposedly told him that he was. To be realistic, y'all, nobody just gonna sit everybody down and say, hey, I'm a sex offender. It don't work like that. There's people keep the shit on the low, you know? So I kind of understand that part. Like, he didn't know. And this is a new production. They don't do background checks. YouTubers, like, trust me, they don't.
Was young and stupid, and he just hired a random guy from a store, didn't do background checks. He should have done as time went on, but he just didn't. He says it was like a dumb mistake. And the thing about him and his mom knowing, he says he doesn't remember that. And the source of that information was a Jake the Viking tweet, who people, you know, don't seem to trust that much. He also mentions that if he could go back in time, of course he wouldn't do it and would do actual like background checks. Basically, it comes down to, do you believe his word over Jake the Viking? Then they talk about the whole meme of investigating himself and finding himself innocent.
It wasn't an internal investigation. It was an external investigation, which was clearly laid out in the things we showed.
Yeah, a third-party investigation.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, it is a little bit of a, like, you know, a lot of people I saw were saying like, well, you paid them. And it's like, well, yeah, top tier lawyers and federal prosecutors don't work for free, so I have to pay them.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to debunk that one. I mean, it just is what it is.
All right, I think most people know that one. Basically, that's just how legal stuff works. I don't know if there's actually a better way to do it. It just sounds very absurd to anybody looking in, right? That you have to pay people to then investigate you, right? Of course, the internet was making fun of that. Nothing to debunk there. But I wanted to ask, the result of the third-party investigation said that they were hiring a new CEO, CFO, CPO, and general counsel, which is a very interesting result for an investigation that supposedly didn't find much wrong. Now, in my personal call with Jimmy, I actually asked him about this, and he said he can't answer it for legal reasons because apparently if you explicitly say the reason you fire someone, you can get sued. I don't know exactly how it works, but that's what he told me, and that's probably why some questions aren't actually in the interview. But anyways, Oompa talks about the shady company culture.
Speaking of the legal issues and stuff, people like MrBeast, it's a big brand, but you gotta understand, like, there's a whole bunch of sponsors and brands behind them. So certain things he might want to address right away, but advise not to by lawyers, but it's smarter because if somebody do decide to sue you, they won't have as much as information to use against you if you don't speak. You know, even though he's innocent or guilty, whatever, it's best not to speak. That's why they tell you if you ever get arrested, just ask for your lawyer right away. Don't speak to the interrogators because the more you say, it can be used against you in the court of law. So it's understandable why he took this long to address the situations. And also, he might not even be telling the full story because there's still legal issues being put against him, you know what I'm saying? So I understand why he didn't address his allegations quick. People would like for him to address it quick, but it's not realistic in this type of world we live in where people trying to sue, get a quick buck, and all this type of allegations.
Culture.
You know?
Obviously, in general, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of things about, HR stuff in my company. And I think one thing people don't have is just the context. Like, I think they think my channel is just like 5 people or 10 people or 20, whatever. Like, they don't realize the size of it. Like, I just want to blanketly say, like, companies at this size, like, you can't ever guarantee that every interaction everyone's going to have is always going to be positive with each other.
Facts.
You know what I mean? That's just impossible. So I want to start off by just saying that because I don't want people to watch this and then like a year from now, like hear some rumor and be like, oh, Jimmy didn't learn. Like any company of this size, there's always going to be some problem someone has. Now, having said that, I'm not trying to use it as like a blanket of like, and shield myself. There are 2 things that are like someone in my position who runs a company like this is in control of. One is, making sure we're not fostering anything inappropriate and, allowing it. And then 2, when it inevitably happens, because it just will in a company my size. And I'm trying to be transparent here. Like it's, how do you respond to it? And then and the making sure you're not fostering it. Part of Quinn Emanuel, when we had them do their investigation, is I had them look at every system in my company. I had them talk to my employees and see if there's anything they could bring to Quinn Emanuel's attention that they could make me aware of. And I think it was in the report. It's like we established an anonymous hotline because Quinn Emanuel was showing me data that like sometimes people don't feel comfortable talking to HR or their boss and like leveled up like our C-suite because I've had a lot of people that have grown with me, but like me, they've never ran a company that has hundreds of employees before. So I actually just hired a couple people who have worked on Fortune 500 companies who have actually ran companies of this size before. And so, they've shown me lots of things that bigger companies do that obviously I'm just ignorant on because I'm a YouTuber, you know what I mean?
Okay, so basically he says that, he started off as a YouTuber, just a few employees, and then his company got too big for him to handle every single interaction. And, someone in his company can say they feel harassed or whatever, and he's saying that he would have no idea about it. So the steps he's taking to rectify this is specific.
Yeah, which it makes sense, but I know it might sound like I'm just riding with his side and all that, but at the end of the day, he was a YouTuber, small teenager YouTuber. Then he just got big and his company grew. And he hired certain people that he trusts to manage certain things. And what goes on after the people that he hired, they're going to hire more people, whatever, the company expands. So the more the company grows, the more he loses the control kind of thing, aspect of things. That's what he's saying, which is, I get it. But also, you also got to take more control of your company. Yeah, I would give you a small YouTuber, but if shit go wrong, you see, it's gonna come back to you. They're gonna say MrBeast, Jimmy. They ain't gonna look at all these other people that are behind you because we don't know those people. They're gonna look at you. So it's kind of careless to not have full control, if you know what I mean. But I understand where you're coming from, though. But also, don't be mad when people get on you for what's going on. Because you also have to have control over your company.
specifically introducing an anonymous hotline so that people can report bad behavior without, fearing repercussions from anybody or any superiors or anything like that. So basically he's just saying that he listened to whatever the Queen Emanuel firm told him to do as a result of their investigation. It's like, hey, this part is wrong in your company. This is how you actually do it. So then he went ahead and fixed it.
Your mom was previously head of your HR department. And some people have criticized that as a conflict of interest. Did you personally at the time even consider that? And do you now also acknowledge that that is a conflict of interest?
Oh, I agree. That's a dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
I do think context matters though, because like this is where a lot of these things that I assume we're going to talk about is like people conflate current MrBeast with 400 employees and spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year with MrBeast when he's a teenager and starting. I agree. Like it's stupid. Like you definitely shouldn't have your mom as an HR person. You should just hire someone who was educated in HR, which is obviously what we have. We have an HR team now.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of these responses boils down to him saying that he was just a dumb YouTuber, didn't expect to get so big, and he didn't know how to handle stuff like a proper company. And, so his mom was running some stuff. And the thing is, while I do like Oompa, I think a little better job of the interview could have been done. Like, some of the main stuff is the Ava Chris Tyson stuff, which he does get to, but it's added as like an addendum to the interview, which he forgot to ask about, which is crazy. Like, that should be the first thing you ask about. But anyways, they go through it one by one, and he does address it later on. Then they talk about the no means no rules. I think we went over this like 50 times. I don't know who actually believes this, because the very first time I saw it, I also said that it was just company culture, nothing to do with harassing women at all. So I don't know why people ever ran with that. That was just ridiculous.
No doesn't mean no policy.
Oh, gosh.
That was criticized. That was crazy. I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck?
Wait, you're answering for me. Let me answer.
Hold on.
Because we do, I don't know if anyone's ever seen our videos, crazy things that have never been done before, right? No one's ever, on YouTube at least, buried themselves alive for 7 days. No one like tries to dangle an obstacle course from cranes. And it's like, don't be rude, but if they say no, just try to understand why.
Okay, so then they move on to talk about CGI. Listen, I don't know how many people care about these portions. I feel like it should have been structured so that this part is at the end. A lot of the people are obviously more focused on the degenerate / illegal things / shady or stuff that looks scammy like the crypto stuff. So I did see a lot of people frustrated with this, but let's skim over it.
Do you think the use of CGI can undermine the credibility or authenticity of the content that you're making? And if so, why do you choose to use it?
Good question. And yes, I do think rampant use of CGI can undermine it. And also we rarely use it. Maybe 0.5%, 0.1% of my shots. What I really don't want is people to not be able to trust my videos just because occasionally I want to make a wall blacker or I want to extend a set a little bit just to make it look cooler and like you feel in tune with it. Because what we do on its own is insane. You know what I mean? We don't need it. You know what I mean?
There are times.
Yeah, which is facts. But if you ever seen the videos, I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you watch MrBeast videos. But he does his stunts, bro. They be blowing shit up. They be doing all this crazy stuff. So if you want to add a little sprinkle of no colors and no more explosion, they're still blowing stuff up, but they just want to make it more cinematic. I think it's cool to me, but as long as you accept and acknowledge that, hey, I do use CGI and don't try to shy away from it, trying to act like everything is 100% real. That's when most people getting messed up, where they try to claim everything's real, but not everything's real. But if you're just using, you said, 1% of his videos or content is CGI, to me, I don't see no problem with that. It's cool to me. This video do be fine.
In my videos where my head is bigger than my head in real life because my editors make it bigger, that's CGI, right? Yeah. The words, the subtitles in your video, they're not real. That's CGI.
Yeah.
Okay, I really don't know what's going on here. They've gone off track a little bit. I guess Oompa's just a chill guy making some sort of jokes. I feel like the vibes are supposed to be a little more serious, sort of interrogative, and this came across a little bit jokey at some parts. Now, the CGI or whatever editing everyone is fine with, I think, as long as it's not overly fake or super ridiculous. Now, there are some things like, you know, the New Zealand tourist attraction that takes 45 minutes to cross the Waitoma glowworm caves, and then the video is titled 7 Days Stranded in a Cave. So stuff like that, I don't think people actually care. It's just, you know, a little bit of transparency, a little bit of authenticity is appreciated. Like, I think people would appreciate if he just came out and said, yeah, my videos are exaggerated a bit with the editing and stuff, but, you know, we do real stuff. We put a lot of effort into the videos. We got to make it YouTube title and thumbnail friendly, but a little bit of honesty goes a long way. Now, finally, they move on to one of the serious allegations of faking portions of philanthropy.
There was an allegation that you used CGI to create the impression that you guys built a hospital, part of a hospital, in order to deceive viewers or, you know, manipulate them into believing that you did more than you actually did.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. Honestly, truthful, dumb mistake. At the start of one of our Beast Philanthropy videos, they were trying to show what this like building looked like in the past. And in the past, that hospital wasn't there. So they removed it in the editing, which, and this was just like a small part of this isn't even like the point of the video was that we built this hospital or whatever. There was just a shot at the beginning. But some people saw that and like thought we did build it, which is not the intention. And so it's just a dumb mistake. Like, trust me, when I saw that, I talked to the editors. I was like, come on, like, you know, I have 100 editors, and obviously we have a bunch of different channels and things like that. So
okay, wow. All right, so he admitted it, I guess. That was actually super unexpected. Essentially says that his editing team messed up the before and after. Basically what happened is that in the before edit, they removed the hospital, and then in the after edit, they put it back in, giving the viewer the impression that they've built this hospital, which is not what they did. They did some other stuff like install solar panels, and it convinced some people in the comments that they were doing more philanthropy than they were actually showing. For example, Minecraft, their sponsor, commented saying that, oh, they actually built a hospital there when they didn't do that. So of course, some people are getting misled there. So essentially he says it's an editing mistake and he wasn't maliciously trying to show.
Yeah, you know, we can say it's an editing mistake, but man, you know, no matter how much good you do, that one little like mistake you make gonna overshadow all that good shit. Like you said, they went on and built the solar panels and did all this other stuff, but what's getting publicized? This fake hospital, you know. Not saying it's right, it's wrong. They should have kept that part out. Don't try to make it seem like you built this hospital if you didn't, you know, in this video. But that's a messed up. They messed up on that part. But in terms of all the other good stuff getting overshadowed, I don't feel like that's right. But that's how the world is nowadays, you know. But this video goes on. He addressed everything. So if you want to go see the rest of this video, the link will be down in the description. But let me know what you think though about this response. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just glad he did it because I never thought he would, unless it was in court or it was going to be handled privately. But I'm glad he responded, in my opinion.